Bill Crane is a political analyst who joins us live again on the line from Atlanta, Georgia. Bill Crane, John Boehner, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, has said a short while ago that the U.S. debt deal that the president has been talking about cuts spending by $917 billion over the next 10 years, but still no specifics on what kind of programs will be slashed and which ones won't. What is your main concern about which kind of government programs may lose out on this?
Well, as you know, the discussions between the House and Senate varied rather consistently on what would be cut first. For example, rather deep cuts in military spending were in the Democratic plans on the U.S. Senate side, whereas there were more cuts laid out for social spending on the Republican side in the U.S. House. $900 billion is a lot of money. It's better than the gross domestic product of many nations of the world. So when and how those cuts come, which year those cuts come, if the majority of them are front-loaded, as the Republican majority House had wanted, or backloaded and spent out on the back end of the 10 years that they're looking at. You may remember that the plan presented earlier by Harry Reid almost ratcheted down over the next 2 to 3 years completely U.S. military activity in Afghanistan and in Iraq. That may or may not happen. We're still in Korea. So the actuality of ending military conflicts and moving troops out and ending expenditure doesn't quite happen that quickly when you're a global superpower.
And it's also worth adding that John Boehner said that a panel will be tasked with finding at least $1.5 trillion more to trim. There has been much talk lately about education programs, for example, for the least privileged children in the U.S. being cut. Should more attention have been paid to slashing the U.S.'s military budget?
There's been discussions for probably 2 years going on in Washington about the direction of the U.S. Department of Education, and one of the more consistent discussions is making it more of a block grant agency where it does things like the Pell Grants, which are loans to lower economic students to go to college, or block grants for things like Head Start, which is an early intervention program for underprivileged children, or pre-K, prior to kindergarten. I do believe that there will be across-the-board cuts in the U.S. government agencies, but again, the largest line item in the budget is Medicare, the second largest Social Security, the fastest growing is interest on the U.S. deficit, and the only way you can cut that fastest growing line item, interest on the debt, is to cut spending. So the devil is always in the details, and we don't have them. They're not even available right now on the White House press site. So it's hard to comment substantively about what's in the deal, but we, as well as the financial markets, are glad there is one. I do expect there's still a pretty good chance, however, that the markets will still, or the rating houses will still downgrade some aspects of our credit rating because, again, what they were calling for was as much as $4 trillion in cuts, and many of those dollars being in the front couple of years, not over a decade long.
Bill Crane, thanks very much. And as you say, a lot of details we simply don't know about at this stage. All we know for sure, according to the U.S. president, is that the U.S. debt deal has been struck.